We just
Sure.
okay.
3, 2.
Hey guys, this is
Hi.
Matt
And Freddie, and this is This and That with Freddie.
and Matt.
Well, we'd like to welcome you back. Our guest today is Jon Bodan, the accredited French cinematographer known for such works as Je t'aime les poupous, Trois.
See.
No, my notes are wrong.
Oh, yeah.
We got-
say it in Spanish.
See,
Yeah.
Juan Bodan, eh? We got
Yes,
Jon
eh?
Bodan here from the band Halcyon Way.
Mi nombre es pendejo.
See,
Sí. Mas pendejo.
see.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, again, John is from Halcyon. What is it?
Way.
There we go. Halcyon Way. See, it's got a ring to it.
Way.
It's got a, you're right. Halcyon Way. So another metal brother that we've asked onto the show, and so we want to talk about a couple things. Obviously the band, because that's the connection there. Okay, so we got the metal band guy, right? You can tell from the hair and the beard, and the alligator chair that he's sitting on. Nothing more metal than an alligator chair.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
he skinned it himself.
I did.
But
Rusty
also, nice.
Bro.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I'm sure. So,
man.
so we're gonna touch on that, not the alligator kill, but on the band, but also there's some other stuff that I think is pretty cool, and maybe some folks don't know about John. I'm sure his close friends do, but John has other skills besides the meddling. So, but we'll talk about the band. So, John, what do you got coming up, man? What's up with the band?
Well, it's really just been like any band. It's really been a weird few years. I mean, we had a bunch of momentum going into 2020. Had a bunch of tours booked. All the usual stuff. Everything got postponed, canceled, moved to question mark. We don't know. So it's weird. We didn't do anything at all in 2020. Didn't even really get together and rehearse. Then in 21, we started getting back together. We started writing. So we're working on a new record. Kind of about 6 months into that, we got bored and we're like, hey, let's go play a show in Nashville because it's where our vocalist lives and we do real well there. So we go up there and we play a show. And then we forgot to start writing again for a while. It was really kind of sad.
Well, hey, man. Well, once you get into that back into that concert vibe and that playing live vibe, it's sort of hard to think about that. You really got to change gears on that sort of thing.
You really do, man, because it's like you start writing, it starts slow, and then you start building a little bit of momentum. It snowballs. You start getting some stuff done, and then immediately to go play live, you've got to change gears. And we were like, well, we haven't played a show in close to 2 years, so we better get tight. So we rehearsed for 4 or 6 weeks or whatever, once or twice a week, and did the show. And then we're like, yeah, we're gonna take a break because it was kind of late in the year. It was kind of close to the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay. But we're getting back to it. We're doing some demos and things like that, and trying to sort of punch through that the wall.
Right on. And what label are you on?
We're on Agonia out of Poland. So we've got a 2-album deal with those guys. So this will be our second record there, and they've been real cool to us, real good to us.
Nice.
So yeah.
And you were talking about your shows got pushed back, but these weren't just like at your local club, because when we were all hanging out a couple of years ago, you had plans and booked shows to go to Russia.
Yeah, man. This was actually like peak Halcyon Way luck. So when we hung out all together last, we had just gotten off the road we did like a 2.5-week tour, and we played in Russia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Ukraine. And that was the second time we'd been to Russia, and we do really well in that part of the world for some reason. I don't know, maybe they don't have good taste or something. I don't know, weird. But so we had just done
I
this
beg
run.
to differ.
And you know, and then our booking agent there, he's well connected in that area. Like the first tour we did in Russia was with Sabaton, and that was a huge tour. It was amazing. So he books us a show in June of 2020 in Kiev at an arena with Judas Priest, and we're like, really? Like, okay. And then we're supposed to be added to a show in Tallinn a couple days later, and then we were going to do headline stuff, you know, around that. And so it was, I'm glowing again. This is amazing.
Did you do any touring near Chernobyl by any chance?
The bullshit light just came on.
As a matter of fact, we did. Chernobyl is like an hour and a half north of Kiev.
Right, exactly.
And when we went on the tour of Chernobyl, because you can actually take a bus to Chernobyl and you can go on a guided tour of Pripyat and the whole thing. And it was super sick. It was like one of the coolest things we've ever done, actually.
I bet.
So
did
just
you
like
put your
walking
tongue?
through that town.
Did you put your tongue in the reactor by any chance?
Yeah, I licked a few windows. You know, it's whatever.
Well, I understand you got on the bus and you just had a small goatee and you came off with fat, right?
Definitely. That's what happened. It was pretty awesome. I think there was some kind of irradiated yak that was nibbling on it too. It was, I don't know. I woke up and I peed myself. It was weird. But,
I've had,
don't air that. Don't air that. That's not public.
I've had an irradiated yak before. Yeah, that's pretty. It's pretty rough. Ooh,
There's pills for that now.
lot of vodka that night.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
anyway, like we had that booked, and then we had a couple tours booked with Sanctuary, and the U.S. tour got canceled. We think maybe it'll happen again. We don't know. We had a Europe tour booked with them. That got bumped out to late 21, and then it got bumped out to late 22, and now it's getting bumped again to spring of next year. And the shows with Priest got postponed twice, and then they just canceled it because of the war. So it's like,
Yeah.
They really don't want you playing there.
That's
You know?
well, that's rough. Well, you know, obviously with everything, you know, with everything in the world that's going on, we've talked to other people, you know, musicians, including Tim Owens, and then you know, I don't know if you know Andrew or not, a friend of ours who's a sound guy, but you know, it's just affected everybody within the music industry, and those those folks that rely on that are you know, obviously hurt a lot, you know, more so than like Freddie and I, who have, you know, other careers. That's going to sort of my segue into the next thing for me to ask you is that, you know, what do you do outside of music that other folks might not know or might find interesting?
well, I have the most non-metal job imaginable outside of music. I have owned a mortgage company here in Atlanta for the last 20 years. So I've been in finance since I was 18, and I started out at a big bank and had all the fun I could stand, and, you know, went out on my own in 2002. So here I am. But
So John, you are a
cool.
loan officer also, right?
Yeah. I mean,
And
yeah.
Matt, you're by yourself right now? So you're a loan officer?
I am a loan officer.
God.
Yes.
I wrote that down. I had to get that in there. I'll see myself out.
Thank you. I hope is Connie there with a big shepherd's hook that she can maybe just.
She told me not to do that one.
Well,
that joke
she was
just
right.
gave me AIDS.
You're supposed to that.
Actually, it's not AIDS. I don't know, maybe monkeypox.
Oh boy.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about the like the bright light. The sun decided to come out just for this.
The man with the
It's
golden
awesome.
gun gets take Atlanta out for
Yeah. So your company is in Atlanta because that's where you live.
Yeah.
So and not to rub salt in a wound, but obviously, you know, with the economy and everything like that right now, that's kind of hurts as well a little bit. And that's one of the things that another thing, you know, obviously the with with the and I don't, we're not getting political or anything, but obviously with the pandemic, with the economy the way it is right now, it's just kind of hurting everybody. So again, here we are back in another boat. So not only musicians are hurting, but also regular folks with regular jobs, and and so it's
Yeah.
hurting everybody as far as the the interest rates and things like that going up, and so I'm sure that has an effect on your business as well.
Yeah, there's definitely an impact. I mean, the last few years have been just raging busy. So we've had a really, really good number of years, and really kind of what's going on. I actually did a presentation to a bunch of people about 2 weeks ago regarding the CPI and just inflation metrics and things of that nature. And it's really kind of, I mean, this will come as a shock to no one that the media is kind of lying to everybody and spinning things. But when you look at the inflation numbers and then you look at the components of the CPI, it's really obvious what the problem is right now, because you can just look at it and one of the sections is just egregiously, it just sticks out egregiously. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's energy prices. So whatever the policies are that are in place right now are just clearly not working. Fuel oil, which is not a thing here in Atlanta, but Matt, that's a thing up where you're at because you're up north and it's cold.
Sure.
It's up 103% year over year as of May. The natural gas prices, I believe, going from memory, are up 78% year over year. And then gasoline, which is what everybody sees when they go out and drive around, and gas $5 a gallon or whatever, that's only up 58%. But I've personally got a client that is moving down to the south from upstate New York. And she told me on the phone, she was like, I couldn't afford to fill up my propane tank to heat my house during the winter. She's like, I was able to afford to fill it halfway up. And she was like, I got to get out of here. It's so crazy expensive. And, but you have energy, which impacts everything else in the economy, shipments, transportation, anything that involves petroleum, whatever. So all of that's going to get more expensive, and that's really kind of what's going on here. I mean, you've got some other issues, you've got supply chain and all that, but that's really a biggie.
Yeah, and one of the things, I mean, I'm hoping, like you said, the media is not exactly telling us the truth on things. Hopefully, I'm hopeful that there's nothing malevolent there, and that it's just they don't want to freak people out, and they want to keep the money flowing in the economy and all that. But the fact of the matter is that petroleum is only part of the problem. But once because all those prices are going up, then you're going to have people switching over to electric and things like that, which is great. However, we don't have the infrastructure in place to support that. So everything is going to go up. Our electric is going to go up dramatically, because they're going to try to be controlling those costs as well, and keeping people from using energy in general. So we have to figure something out. I don't want to get so far off topic, and I don't want to freak anybody out either. But that's it. It just affects everybody, and it's until we can kind of get that whole thing under control, it's just going to not be good. So hopefully the folks with all the big brains can figure that stuff out, sooner rather than later.
Yeah, this is true, man. It really just comes down to supply and demand, and the more you have of something, the cheaper it is. And it is what it is. But it's going to be real interesting to see how the economy kind of plays out. The Atlanta Fed released their estimate of Q2 GDP, which is negative, and Q1 was negative already. So that's the technical definition of a recession. Now the jobs numbers came out yesterday though, and the media was like, oh, well, GDP may be negative, but we're not really in a recession because of the jobs report. And it's like, okay, the unemployment rate stayed the same. Jobs were a beat yesterday, but they revised downward the jobs number for the last two readings, because they commonly do that. They'll release a reading and then they'll revise it the next month because more data has come in. So the jobs were down the previous two, they were up. This one, they'll probably get revised down. And then the labor participation rate's lower. And the labor participation rate is just people that haven't looked for a job in the last 4 weeks because they're just not looking. It's like anything, you can cook the books. And so none of us really know what the truth exactly is, but recessions in general are just personal,
Yeah, but
it's how it's impacting my household.
You know, I've got a great idea for a podcast for you now, though. You know, you could educate the metal masses on the economy and how the economy works, because I'm sure that, you know, some folks don't know, and that's fine, because it's not really their lane, and I get that, because I still scratch my head and go, what the heck is going on, man? But sometimes it's just nice to hear that, you know, somebody that actually knows and is not going to BS you for whatever reason, for, you know, political purpose or whatever the purpose is. You know, it's just truth. So that's cool.
Well, the thing that one of the points I made in the presentation that I did, because it was to people in the real estate industry, and basically what I said is, look, it doesn't matter what team you're on, it doesn't matter what outlet you like, whatever. Everybody's got a slant. Everybody's got something that they're shilling for. Doesn't matter what you like or whatever. Just go to the source material. You know, go to the CPI numbers, and because you can get them from the budget. There's a department, I can't remember, but you can get stuff from the St. Louis Fed has a website where you can put in just about any metric you could ask for and go back 100 years with the data, and you can chart it out. I mean, you know, think for yourself. That's really what it comes down to. So,
yep.
What a bummer, man.
Oh, no.
Like this was supposed to be fun. We're talking about like adulting.
We'll get back into it.
So somebody needs to bring in a fart joke right now. Right now. Freddie, go.
Oh wait, that's the punchline. Okay. So, what's your prediction for the mortgage rates that are constantly going up? Yeah, because I got my house at 3% 2 years ago, and now looking at what it's like almost 7 now. So, you think it's going to keep going up as fast, go up slower? I mean, you're more inside than we are. What do you think?
Well, this is kind of the first thing is that it's important to understand what they're based on and like what the mechanism is for them. Because when the Federal Reserve raises rates, when you hear about the media, oh, they raised 75 bips or whatever, that's not a direct correlation with mortgage rates. Mortgage rates are market based. They're based on the bond market and specifically on mortgage-backed securities. So you can kind of roughly figure out where they're going by looking at the 10-year Treasury yield. And kind of big picture what's going on is when you have a lot of inflation in the economy, interest rates have to go up because the money is worth less, right? So, and the Fed raises rates in these situations because they want to slow down the money supply, reduce supply reduce demand so the supply and demand get in balance and prices stop going up so fast. So that's what they're trying to do. Having said that, the last inflation reading that came out ticked down just a hair, and the markets rallied on it. So the bond market rallied on it, which makes rates go down, which is good. And then the stock market rallied on it a little bit as well. However, the CPI reading is actually a 12-month rolling average. And what they do is they calculate it year over year each month. And so the CPI reading that we got last week or the week before was from May of 2022, but it was going back to June of 21. And if you go back historically and you look at what each month's number was, you can kind of tell, all right, well, if it went down and then now we're 12 months in, we just got rid of a higher number. Now we got a lower number, and that's what happened on this last reading. However, what's going to happen is you're going to have higher numbers for the next couple months, I think, and that average is going to probably go back up and fall. And so everybody's going to be like, oh, man, inflation's getting worse or whatever. But I think the data is kind of like already pointing to that being the case. So what I kind of believe is going to happen is that you're going to see inflation maybe drop another month, maybe, and then you're going to see it tick back up for a few months going into fall and winter. And then you're going to see it come back down because you're going to start seeing like reduced economic activity and that kind of thing in the historical numbers. And so what I think is going to happen on rates, to answer your question, is I think they're going to go down a little bit for a minute. I think they're going to go back up a little bit for a minute. And then I think they're going to go back down next year. So that's my prediction on it. Now, obviously anything can happen, but that's the way I read it.
So you don't think there's going to be another bubble like there was the last big recession?
I don't think so. A lot of reasons for it. One is that and this is really kind of a weird thing. And when I learned this, I was really like, wow, I would have never correlated these things. But so if you go back and you look at the birth rate, and then you look at the median age that somebody buys their first home, the median age is 33. Okay, so if you go back 33 years historically, and you look at the birth rate in the U.S., you can kind of see what's coming, right? And in 2007, if you go back 33 years, what had happened? And this was, like I said, I would have never correlated this. Go back 33 years, the birth rate cratered. Why was that? Roe v. Wade. I would have, and so you could almost predict it in 2007 because of that. But you also had terrible lending standards, and I could tell you like some of the things you could get done during that time, which is ridiculous. And then you had all this overbuilding. So you had all these builders just building just heaps and heaps and heaps of houses, and you didn't have enough demand for them. So you had supply and demand out of, imbalance, but you had more supply than demand. You had terrible underwriting standards, and then you had like the birth rate drop. It was weird.
Yeah, and this was starting in the 70s.
Well, this was in 2007, of course, when the market cratered. But the birth rate goes back to the early 70s.
Gotcha.
Because you count backwards 33 years. And so now the birth rate's up a little bit, and you also have this buying pressure from millennials that delayed household formation, and because I mean, you know the joke, it's like they lived in mom's basement until they were 29 or whatever, right? So they delayed household formation to go out and buy property, or go out on their own or whatever. So you have some pressure from that, and they're all hitting their prime earning ages and that kind of thing. And you've got a supply and demand imbalance too, because after the Great Recession, when the markets cratered, home builders stopped building. Like you didn't really see new construction until like 2015, by and large. And part of that was everybody in the building industry had PTSD. And then part of it's the banks were like, hell no, we're not touching that shit.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't finance it, so that a builder couldn't go get the money to build a property. And so they started kind of late. And, so it's like you've still got a supply and demand imbalance going. So for that reason, I don't think the markets are going to crater. I think you're going to see it level out, though, and then appreciate in a more historically normal fashion.
Okay. Well, and hopefully people they're not giving loans to people that aren't going to be able to actually be able to fulfill those loans. Unfortunately, like the last time, the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, debacle, where they were giving loans to people that couldn't afford them. So I know that was part of the whole thing, the Big Short and all that other stuff.
It was crazy. I mean, there were deals. There was like there was literally a loan that you could get. So it came out like in the 90s or something, and it was like stated income. So it was a deal where, okay, you got great credit, you got 20-30% to put down, you're self-employed, and you say you make $100,000 a year, but your tax returns, you wrote everything off, so you can't qualify on whatever you showed as a bottom line, right? So stated income was designed for entrepreneurs, and it worked really well for those people, but they had to be quality. They had to have good credit, they had to have cash in the bank, they had to have down payment, etc. Those loans didn't really go bad then what they started doing is going, okay, well, you don't have to have 20% down. You only got to have 10, and then 5, and then 0. And so they just like, moved the goalposts on it, right?
Yeah.
And then they wanted more paper to securitize and sell off. And then they're like, well, you don't even have to be self-employed. You can work somewhere and just tell us what you make, and we won't verify it. So then Brilliant. It went there. And then it went from really good credit to okay credit to maybe you can finance a car, maybe not. And then it went to, oh my God, have you ever paid a bill? Cool, here you go. I mean, it got so stupid. It literally got to the point where you could work at McDonald's making $12 an hour, but you could state on the application you made $80,000 as the hamburger director or whatever.
Mayor McCheese.
And put no money down on a house. It was retarded. It was so stupid.
Well, which is weird because that's essentially incentivizing fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? I mean,
it was.
So that's coming from a federal agency, right? I mean, I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Anyway, I don't want to get into too much. I'm sure they're listening right now, but
Wait, hold on. Let me take the SIM card out of my phone real quick.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Hey, so you know, I don't want to, you know, jump from one thing to another as far as, you know, kind of bad, sad. I want to kind of turn the frown upside down on this, but there's, you know, something else, and you know, obviously we can not talk about it if you don't want to, but I know that my point is I'm getting to a point where we're looking at helping folks, and I know that you're a survivor of cancer,
mm-hmm.
and you have an organization, I believe, that you support and you know, try to get folks aware of cancer, of you know, cancer survivors, and help for them. So if you want to kind of push that, that's why we're here. We're here to promote and do things for folks in a positive manner. So the floor is yours.
Yeah. So in 2010, I found out I had lymphoma, and it was kind of a weird time. So we were Halcyon Way. We were getting ready to release our second record, Building the Towers, and it was literally, I think, a week from release date, and we had gotten our first big tour opportunity, which was to go tour Europe with Stuck Mojo, and so we were leaving for that maybe in 3 weeks. So we had release date, 3 weeks, and I was trying to be proactive. Okay, I got to go be on the road in a bus and whatever for a month, and I got a sinus infection, and I'm kind of prone to those. So I went to my doctor and I was like, you know, hey, what's up? So she gives me an antibiotic, she gives me steroids, and I had like swollen lymph nodes. So, you know, the swelling kind of stops, but I still feel kind of crappy. It's weird. I go back to the doctor a week later. She's like, well, let's try this, do that again. Third time, lymph nodes are still swollen up. They're probably worse. She's like, I need you to go see an ENT. I need you to see a specialist. This is weird. So I go see this guy. He takes one look. He's like, oh shit. And he goes, we're doing a biopsy of that right now. So he jabs me in the neck with the, you know, giant needle. And then 2 days later, I find out I got cancer. At this point, I'm like, 34, I think. And, you know, so we're sitting here getting ready to go on the road. We're getting ready to drop our second record. It was crazy. So needless to say, long story short, we didn't go on that tour. I went straight into chemo, did 7 rounds of chemo, stem cell transplant, and went into remission, and everything's been all good since. I've been 11 years clear now. So very thankful for that.
Nice.
Yep.
And one day though, I was in the chemo room, which is, at least where I was getting treated, it's just like a big open room with a bunch of recliners, and then you just sit in the recliner all day with the, you know, the IV. And I had really, really good insurance, so I wasn't really having any problems with getting my stuff paid for or whatever. It was all cool. But there was a dude a couple seats down. I remember hearing him on the phone, and he was arguing with his insurance company over an anti-nausea medicine. And I had this one pill that had just come out at that point. It's like $500 a dose.
Mm-hmm.
And I never threw up the entire time I was in treatment. So it worked really well. This dude's on the phone, and he's fighting with this insurance company to get that. And they're like, no, you can have Zofran. Is what I think it was. And it works. It's okay. But it's been around for like 60 years. It's like it's generic, you know, it's like $4 or whatever. So I just remember seeing that dude kind of fight about that, and it stuck with me. So I get out of treatment, and I find out that the practice that I had been getting treated by, they had a foundation called Atlanta Cancer Care Foundation. And what they did was they paid bills for cancer patients who were in treatment. So if you've got somebody that they're going to the doctor, you know, they've got to make a $50 copay, whatever, they got to pay to park, they got to pay for food, you know, whatever, they got to pay for incidentals. It costs a lot of money to have cancer, is really the bottom line, because you get nickeled and dimed all the time, and then you have to fight with insurance mostly and all this stuff. And then, you know, you may lose your job because you can't work. You may not be getting paid. You burn through your vacation, whatever. So pretty much foundation uses their money to pay the bills of people like that in the Atlanta area. So once I got better and the band got active again, we put together some benefit shows and raised some money for the foundation. And kind of through the course of that, I ended up on the board. And then at some point, they were dumb enough to make me the president of the board. So pretty much what we do is we raise money and we give it out to cancer patients. That's what we do. It's
Nice.
very local. It's very like rubber hits the road. So it's stuff like, literally stuff like, hey, I can't pay my power bill. Can you help? Okay, send us a copy of the power bill. And then we'll get the power bill and go, okay, and we pay it. Or we'll give people gift cards for Kroger to get groceries, or gas cards, or whatever. So that's the kind of thing that we do.
Nice.
Up to and including, like, we've gotten people out of foreclosure. We've gotten people to where they didn't lose their apartment, or, you know, got their rent caught up and things like that. So,
Awesome.
you know, that's how we serve people.
So we're gonna get that information. We're gonna get that information from you and put it in the
Yeah.
the little information section of this video, so that folks, right? So check that out. So if you either would like to contribute to the organization, or if you need help, reach out to the organization if you're in the Atlanta area.
Definitely do. It's a 501c3, so if you donate to it, it's tax deductible. And then, you know, obviously you're doing good work. There's only one person in the organization that actually gets paid, and that's the person that runs it. Everybody else is a volunteer, and, you know, so the money pretty much just goes straight to people in need.
Nice.
So that's what we do.
That's fantastic.
That's cool.
Yeah, and for such an organization to just have, you know, one person running it, and not, you know, so all that money goes, you know, well, all the money, most of the money goes to the folks that need it. That's huge. That's huge.
It is, because one of the metrics that the charities get rated on is how much of it's overhead and expenses, and how much of it's actually going to the mission.
Right.
And so it's really important to us, you know, when we look at our governance and that kind of thing, to make sure, okay, you know, are we wasting money in any way? Are we, you know, or is there any leak in the boat, because we want that to go to the patients?
That's very cool, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. Man.
We had
Not
a bit
the
of a
part that you got
pause.
cancer, but the part that you're helping. That's the cool part.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I knew what you meant. Mostly.
Obviously.
Anyway, we're ending on laughs. So, John, we want to thank you for doing this semi-formally.
I'm still disappointed I haven't heard a fart joke out of Freddie. It's weird.
Right.
I'll text
I
you.
don't know, Matt. Can you like pick up the slack? I mean, you know, y'all are a
Hey,
team.
man.
You need to hold him up when he's struggling.
My loan officer joke. So there you go.
It was, dude, that was terrible. That was
Thank
like
you.
the worst dad joke of all time.
That was me.
It was pretty bad. I'm surprised, John. I'm really surprised at you that you actually want more of that. That's because that's what's going to come out of Freddie at this point. So.
Well, I mean, you know, if it's going to come out of him, it kind of qualifies as a fart joke, kind of. But I mean, we all know this. When you're like an old dude like us and you're in a band, it's an excuse to be with your buddies and to laugh at fart jokes, and, you know.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
The jokes I had, we can't even put them on YouTube. So I just, you know, we're gonna get 4 episodes in, we're gonna get shit canned. So I'll just say the end of one. I'll just say the end of one, and he runs up and says, "Block that kick."
I have no idea what's going on.
I'll text you the beginning of that joke later.
Neither do I.
Just look up the fart football joke.
Okay. Well, at some point we should do one of these, and I'll just tell you the clown joke.
Okay.
It takes an hour.
It's like the Aristocrats.
It's like the Aristocrats, except not as good. It's got a very disappointing ending.
Well, so does this episode, apparently.
I mean, arguably the beginning was disappointing too, as well as the middle.
Well, no, the middle wasn't disappointing. It's just depressing. There's a difference.
The sun went away. The sun got bailed out.
It did.
So those Mayan sacrifices are working.
Thank you, St. John.
Well, that was like a Star Trek thing, right?
Right.
No, that was the Shocker. Gangsta.
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Anyway.
It's weird.
What? I don't know. East Coast, West. I don't know. Right. That.
There you go. I see Freddie doing things with his
All right.
digits.
I don't know what to do with my phone.
Hey, but did you make it? Did you make it a Prague Power this year? Just a side note.
Man, I actually did not. Ann and I both were under the weather, so we didn't go, which was kind of lame. But
that sucks.
That's me.
Hopefully you guys are well. That's because that's a funny thing because that's kind of where we first met, right?
Yeah, it is.
Sort of like the pre gaming or whatever for Pyramids, right? Is that?
Yeah. Well, we played together. We might have played together the year before or something.
Yeah, I think.
We
I
played
think so.
together. But I don't remember if it was the same year that y'all did the Pyramids thing. But
no, I don't think it was. I think Iced Earth played there. What, maybe a couple years before that.
2011.
Heck, I don't know.
2011.
Yeah, I don't know. But then then we got to when we were doing our practicing for Pyramids. You actually let us use your home studio, so that was great. So that was good times. So we actually had a chance to kind of sit down and talk about stuff and
yeah, that was fun because that was just a really cool show that was just really cool that y'all put that together with all the singers that had been in the band and that kind of thing. It was just fun to see that.
Yeah.
And also, of course, to be called Billy, for everybody to be called Billy by Jonah.
Oh my God.
I still crack up. I actually came across a screenshot of this like a week ago. I still crack up when we were up in Delaware. I was texting Jonah and he changed his number. I was texting his old number.
And
the recipient got really, really fucking pissed.
Yeah. I'm not
like,
Billy.
I'm gonna report you to the police. Like what? For a wrong number?
Stop harassing me, bro.
So my birthday was last week, and I got a text from Jonah. Happy birthday, Billy.
I mean, of course, it's everybody is Billy.
Everybody's Billy.
It's like it's like the word dude. That chair is dude. The window is dude. You're dude. But in Jonah land, that window is Billy. That glass is Billy.
There's a lot of strange things in Jonah land.
There are.
It's not like Disneyland.
It's kind of like it.
Much stranger.
All right.
We're gonna have Jonah on too, so that will be fun.
Nice.
We'll have to change.
We're here to introduce Billy.
Yep.
Well, we'll have to change the name of the show to This and That with Billy and Billy. So.
You should.
I like it.
I like this idea. Why didn't we do that this time?
I don't know.
We still can.
All right, well, I'm gonna stop. We're gonna start over.
Post production.
3, 2, 1. Everybody, welcome John. Or no. But anyway.
Welcome Billy.
Billy.
This and That with Billy and Billy. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna teleprompt you.
All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna do sign language. You want me to do sign language?
Please.
That's
nice.
Billy. Okay. That's
Thank you.
And on that note,
that's a close. All right, John. Hey, bro. Nice talking to you, man. Thank you for all the great information, and hopefully this is informative for the folks that are watching, the three people that are watching this.
3?
Yeah,
wow.
Well, it's us three at least.
Well, that is true. I mean, so maybe it's like 4 or 6.
Maybe.
Well, it could only be 5 because I know my mom's not with us any longer. So maybe you guys' moms?
Possibly.
And if I see a blue alligator, I'm going to kill it so you have a matching set. just burned my retina, sir.
I killed its brother.
Nice.
with it wasn't the rusty butter knife though. I killed its brother with the carcass of this one.
Oh, that's very manly.
Wow. Beat it to death. Nice.
That's right, with its sibling.
I thought you just told it stories and it just killed itself.
It's possible. Actually, I started to tell it the clown joke.
Do you know what the CPI is?
Hey, you guys brought that up, not me.
Well, thanks, John. We're going to put all the links down in the description area there and blah, 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 blah. Anything else you want to say before we shut up?
Shut your face. No, this was fun, man. I'm glad we did this. So it's good to see you guys.
Dude,
Great
man.
to see you, man.
All right.
Later.
Well,